Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Beautiful morning to you, and thank you so very much for having me.
All right, let's get straight to it. Let's break down the key challenges in this, or key changes, you will say, in this new tax law. What's new? Who will it affect the most? Especially, again, the issues about the alleged discrepancies. But it seems that we've moved past this.
Yeah, fairly speaking, first of all, like I said, when the Tax Act, before it became an act, it was a bill. And I can remember that I was in one of the town hall meetings. Also, I was part of the meetings beyond the town hall meetings. Some of my observations were made at that level, and I can mention to you that they were clearly taking account, they were clearly taken into account, because some of the things that were of concern, even not all, they were adjusted. And so to that extent, I think the tax team, they listened to a large extent. And I've also seen that this new tax law, there are some level of improvements to compare to the old. It has made provision for unification of taxes, unlike where we pay multiple taxes before now. So those who are doing, who are supposed to pay taxes, from personal income tax to pay as you earn, it has clearly defined what individual should pay under the personal income tax. It has also clearly defined what should be paid for company income tax. For those that have large company, the tax rate reduced from 30% to 25%. For small businesses, which of course I think the tax authority will need to now clarify, whether if you have an asset less than 250 million or you have a turnover less than 100 million, then you may not need to pay taxes. What you do is perhaps to make sure you do your filings as at when due. So we can also see that the tax law has made provision for some key sector, even though this is not new. For instance, those in agri, if you're in agriculture, the tax has given you exempt for about 5 years, which is good. Then if you are in manufacturing, there are some charges that has been waived to a large extent. You also have those who were before now paying VAT. They cannot even claim VAT they've paid back. Today, it has been rated zero VAT, and so many other good things that are in the tax law. And I will not cease to mention that this tax law has its benefits, even though there are still a few concerns. Like many laws, they may not be perfect. I don't see this as one that is perfect. And I'm happy that the committee lead has also mentioned that, yes, it's not a perfect law, but we can make it a work in progress. So from this month, it is clear that the implementation will start. One thing we have seen is that FRS is now defunct. We now have National Revenue Service, which perhaps has to do with the nomenclature, which has changed. You will start seeing those changes in letters that have been sent before now in FRS. You start seeing branding, which is the beginning. And I heard the chairman of the Revenue Service, who had mentioned that this new tax law may not be fully implemented in a year. And I can tell you that I'm particularly happy that he said that, because these have brought a lot of concerns. For someone like me who is in the midst of people, I can tell you that people have a lot of concern whether we are going to just flush this hook, line, and sinker at once. The truth is, education cannot stop about this tax law. And I'm happy your station is also giving quality time to this tax law even at this time. So he had mentioned that it may take a period of 5 years before government can fully implement this. And that means that if there are things to be amended before these 5 years, I want to believe the authorities will want to open their mind into accepting this. There are a number of things that authority has also mentioned that people should not worry about. For instance, it was mentioned that people will start paying VAT. They will start paying 5% tax when they buy PMS. I think it has been cleared that will not start, because honestly, it's not the best thing to do right now. A VAT increase before now, it was mentioned, it's part of the recommendation I gave, that I don't think we should do any form of increase in VAT. But this does not mean the law does not have its own concerns or its own challenges. And I'm hoping that those challenges that you have made available to those who are in charge, they will implement quickly, they will consider, they will review, then we can say that the things that are giving concerns to people, we might need to make adjustment. Just yesterday, I saw on television, today I will pick the report properly and read, where KPMG was said on one of the national television stations from their report that this tax law may lead to a national capital flight. And when you see the law, you notice that, especially from those that are in the markets, that's the capital market, that he has introduced a tax to increase that in order to meet up with what is obtainable in the corporate income, so that they want to do a matchup. But you see, the risks are different. In capital market, you can make the gain overnight, you can lose overnight. When people got wind of this, you saw what happened to the capital market almost immediately. These are things that I think authorities will need to consider. This is one of the many things I think authorities will need to consider in the coming period. Because when people come into Nigeria to invest, our market is one of the areas they invest in. And it's easy for us to quickly compare ourselves to what is happening in Germany, what is happening in Dubai, in the UAE, what is happening. But we need to compare that with the kind of development, kind of education, kind of business, financial awareness in those markets. Like I said, we cannot do this just in a day or in a year. It may take it may take some period of time before we get this structure properly.
Absolutely, Mr. Alaje. And we're dealing with the effects of the day after, and it's a continuous process. We'll continue to learn and cross T's where we have to and dot I's. But what we've witnessed, and we sent a crew out to feel the pulse of Nigerians from that Vox Pop we played earlier. And the recurrent theme is the public's response, is the call for transparency. People want to know where their money is going to and what will happen to their money. Is it going to increase the number of vehicles in public officials' convoys? Because we've seen the Nigerians don't pay subsidy on fuel anymore, and they're wondering, where did all the savings go? What have we gained from this removal of subsidy? So in order to ensure compliance and to get the buy-in of majority of Nigerians, what should the Nigerian Revenue Service and the tax authorities be doing right now to assuage the fears of Nigeria beyond talking? You are not very Nigerian like us, so it's not just talking. What can they do to prove that, look, this time around you will reap the benefits of paying your taxes?
Less has to be done by the tax authority, more has to be done by our leaders, our politicians. Tax authority has a responsibility from the Act to collect taxes and send that to government. Now, what government does with the revenue generated has less to do with the tax authority, be it the committee or the NRS, I beg your pardon. It has nothing to do with them. So people that should be responsible in terms of proper administration of revenues that is given will remain the federal, the state, and the local government. What percentage of our revenue, the tax-generated revenue, must go into infrastructure? What is the expenditure that government is spending, especially on non-capital? These are things that can either encourage Nigerians or discourage Nigerians because of this new tax law. The good news is that if government spend this money correctly and people can see measurable improvement, in now telling people we want to advance in implementation, there will be a high level of compliance. But if there is no difference, especially when it comes to what we are doing with road, rails, what we are doing with energy, power supply, and life is relatively difficult, if government talks about even further increasing those, I can confirm to you that the people in some areas who are not as aware as those of us in this conversation, they may have some level of resistance. So that such resistance does not exist. That is why our advisory will be that, yes, tax authority will do their job, but politicians, especially those who are making laws, can come up with a law to say that in the light of what is happening to the tax law, what there are things that we must do in order to make life relatively better for Nigerians, and especially as it has to do with the economies.
Anyway, I'm sure Nigerians were waiting to see all of these things. Unfortunately, we'd have loved to go further with more questions, but we're just out of time. I want to thank you sincerely for taking out time to join us this morning. Thank you.